Matt Gilmore and Robin Flynn filling in for Aaron this week. Christian Dubé said today that public health in Quebec, like public health authorities in other Canadian jurisdictions, does not recognize obesity as a disease. This follows a petition from Enrico Ciccone. He presented it at the National Assembly earlier this month, asking the provincial government to recognize obesity as a chronic disease and to make medication accessible to better control the disease. That petition garnered roughly 1,900 signatures. Dr. Alex Zarruk is a physician who specializes in metabolic dysregulation, and he joins us now. Hi, Dr. Zarruk.
Hi, how are you?
I am well. Thank you for being here. I'm curious what your stance is. Should obesity be considered a disease, and why are public health officials reluctant to do so?
So the quick answer is absolutely, and the reasons why is, name me one other condition that can be genetically inferred. So you're predisposed to creating an issue that is not considered a disease.
I can't.
It's really hard. It's really hard. And imagine now if I tell you that the genes will give you the gun to create a problem, but the environment, right, the internal environment, the external environment pulls the trigger. So imagine now telling people living with this predisposition that they are not allowed to have help.
Why do you think it is that the government doesn't recognize it? Is it just that public health is maybe delayed in sort of understanding this illness?
I think that there is a question of finances that kind of blurs the lines here. We have to understand that obesity as a disease has large financial implications in regards to taxes, for example, work hours for individuals, being unable to go to work. And they are looking at the immediate cost and not looking at the long-term benefit that they actually bring to society, for example. So I think there is a monetary aspect to their decision. I also believe that there is a lack of understanding of this genetically inferred, environmentally provoked type of condition.
In conversation with Dr. Alex Zarruk, physician who specializes in metabolic dysregulation, talking about the fact that Quebec's health minister says, nope, obesity is not a disease. You referenced it there, the cost of obesity. Well, the cost of not recognizing it as a disease is very expensive as well. It's estimated that it costs Canada $27.6 billion each year between healthcare costs, lost tax revenue for people who can't work, covering disability. Wouldn't obesity prevention be smarter?
Wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great to approach an issue way before it settles in?
Yep.
So the issue with that is there's a lot of public health efforts to be done, right? We're trying to educate our children, but our children are bombarded with media, bombarded with all kinds of information, misinformation, disinformation. So it's really hard in regards to education. Now, imagine if we're able to go a little bit like our European colleagues, where they're actually promoting more physical activity in schools. So a lot of activity, a lot of learning is surrounded with physical activity that we don't have here in all of our schools. Some schools do it, but we should actually promote this at a very early age. I think it's just a question of our mentality behind and understanding this issue. Forget about the finances that you just brought up, but imagine now if we're telling people that we could actually prevent the development of what we call comorbidities, the associated illnesses with the obesity, such as diabetes, PCOS, infertility. Imagine that we can actually kind of reverse a little bit the trend that's been ongoing all throughout the world in regards to infertility. We could actually improve what we call neuroinflammation, inflammation of the brain, and even have an impact possibly in regards to Alzheimer's development. So you have to remember, obesity as a word, right, doesn't necessarily just mean excessive fatty tissue. It also means abnormal fatty tissue, dysfunctional fatty tissue.
You brought up PCOS, which is of interest to me because I have PCOS and I'm on Ozempic to treat my PCOS because PCOS presents very similar to diabetes, right? With insulin resistance. But even though it was prescribed by my doctor to treat a condition I have, my insurance won't cover it. And Ozempic, as I'm sure you're well aware, is extremely expensive. So I'm wondering if there's an element to this story as well that the public health authorities don't want to recognize obesity as a disease because that would mean they would have to cover the medications that treat that disease. Do you think that's part of it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm sad to hear that you live with PCOS, but I'm also very happy that you're being treated for the insulin resistance because we know that insulin resistant treatment for PCOS can actually reverse the insulin resistance, improve ovulation, increase the chances of getting pregnant, and just hormonal balance. Because at the end of the day, what Ozempic is, okay, it is a hormone. It's based on the hormone GLP-1 that we're producing ourselves. So it's hormonal therapy. We're not giving something completely foreign to our body, right? And so I'm glad that you're getting treated the right way. Another thing that I want to point out is definitely I think that there is an aspect of trying to minimize immediate cost, okay, by keeping a blind eye on conditions that can really be improved. For example, PCOS, you mentioned it, obviously diabetes, obesity. There's a condition called fatty liver, right? Or non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, or there's a new word now for it, metabolic associated fatty liver disease. So all these issues could actually be well treated with Ozempic, for example, but they're not being covered.
Speaking with Dr. Alex Zarruk, physician who specializes in metabolic dysregulation, about this government sort of position that obesity is not a disease. I do want to read you a little bit of what the health minister said today in a statement to CTV News. He said that he is sensitive to people living with obesity-related issues. That said, public health in Quebec, like public health authorities in other Canadian jurisdictions, does not recognize obesity as a disease. It's not up to politicians to recognize a disease or not. We rely on experts, and we'll continue to rely on the evolution of science. What is the evolution of science? Because we did also see a report that 53 global experts have come out just in the last month to say this is a disease and should be recognized as such.
Actually, there's probably a lot more than 53 global experts that believe that it is a disease. But I have to point out one thing. It's funny that he said that and nobody rebutted that in 2015, the Canadian Medical Association recognized obesity. The CMA recognized obesity as a chronic disease. So this is not true saying that the big authorities did not recognize it. The problem is provincially, we don't recognize it in order not to pay for medication, not pay for the care.
Dr. Alex Zarruk is a physician who specializes in metabolic dysregulation. Thank you so much for your time today, Dr. Zarruk. Really appreciate it.
No problem, and thank you for having me.